Sorry, mine was the continuation of before all that. That was a great question. So there have been a lot of calls for another independent investigation of Trump's ties to Russia. It sounded from what you were saying that you were happy with what the FBI was doing. Do you think that there are other options that we can do for an independent investigation?
I think the best option at this point would be a full-on independent commission that had its own authority to do its own thing and not only do the criminal investigative work of seeing who broke laws, but also doing the work to protect our democracy from this stuff. Because every single intelligence and law enforcement agency tells us the Russians aren't finished. They're not done. They're going to be back in the 2018 elections, and they're going to be back in the 2020 elections, and their pattern is to corrupt Americans, particularly ones who want to get into office or have political influence, which is sort of a template for President Trump, who's been doing business with them for all this time. And their template is to hide their hand through a lot of devices that we allow still in this country. So shell corporations, where you can hide who you are behind a corporate shield and nobody can find out. We allow that in this country, and that's one of the ways that the Russians can exert their influence while hiding the fact that it's Russian influence. Dark money, the big, unlimited, anonymous spending that we allow in our politics for the benefit of the fossil fuel industry. Now, if it's dark money, dark is dark. And if you can hide that it's fossil fuel money, you can hide that it's Vladimir Putin money also. So we have, in many respects, maintained avenues of influence that the Russians can use. And we need to start closing up those holes in our election safety, and a commission that really looks at this hard, that doesn't want to preserve those things for the sake of their big donors and their political influence supporters, would be a really, really good thing. As to a special counsel, my jury is still out. The special counsel rule means it has to be somebody from outside the department. Well, they're not going to do an Obama person, which means now we go back to George W. Bush and his Justice Department. You all remember what happened there? The U.S. Attorney scandal, the bogus OLC opinions, Gonzalez having to resign. I mean, that was a mess. So if we're not going to pick one of their people, then you got to go back even before that. And now they're getting a little on in years, and it's been a long time since they've done this stuff. So they also have the right to come in and start their own investigation and hire their own people. And I think that would be a terrible mistake if there's a grand jury up and going, and if they're cooperating witnesses, and if this is robust as it seems to be. You don't want somebody coming in who will interrupt that. So my subcommittee is going to be reviewing exactly that. And I want to know how they're going to make the special counsel statute work before I start calling for a special counsel, and then have them say, well, we did it in the way that most screwed things up. And we've basically torpedoed the investigation through the special counsel statute, but you called for it, so you can't complain about it. So I'm standing back and watching those details before we move on that. But it's absolutely imperative that this be an independent investigation, that it be fearless, that it be thorough, and that the American people have confidence in it. That's the standard that cannot be crossed.